We're going to be planting some more indeterminate tomatoes. This is, I tried to find every single type of indeterminate tomato that I can in the Pacific Northwest. I went to several stops and tried to gather. There are one tomato that we are going to be duplicating, which is the sun sugar tomato. It is a cherry tomato that is orange, so we will be having 4 of those versus just 2. But other than that, we'll be having 2 of every single type of tomato plant that is indeterminate that we could grow here. So we're going to start off by putting down a ½ an ounce of weekly feed and 1 ounce of pre-plant fertilizer for every linear foot of bed that we have. So this is a 12-foot bed by 4-foot that is in our not a T-frame, but a trellis system here. So to sprinkle this down. Usually I pre-wet the soil, but since we just got a rainfall, I'm not going to be pre-wetting it this time. Just toss that. And then I'll be tilling this in, trying to get it at least 8 inches deep so I could get a good amount for the roots. And we only sit there and put pre-plant and weekly feed for what the section of the actual tomato plants will be in. So now that we have put down our prep for the transplant, the weekly feed, and the pre-plant fertilizer, we're going to need to mark out. If you have one of those Mittleider markers, that's great. I just haven't made one yet, so we're just going to be doing it using a ruler, and I'm just going to be marking off every 9 inches for indeterminate plants. You could plant them every 9 inches if you're going to be growing them vertically. So that's why I like to sit there and do indeterminate versus determinate, because determinate you have to space out every 12 inches. So at least we could get more plants in here. So I'm just going to sit there and mark 9, 18, 27, and 36. Now that I have my hole, I have my lower retention wire right here, and my water line is going to be right here once I put one in. So we will need to be digging this deep. And deep for tomatoes is basically until you have 3 leaves left. So I'm probably going to end up just removing from here. Actually, I think I'll remove this one too. There we go. So this is our main growing tip, and a 1, 2, 3, and then put this down deep. There you go. So this one is going to be an indigo rose, and I actually don't even have the second one, so we're going to be missing 1 plant on the dirt side until I go back to the store and look for its little partner, soulmate. I was only able to find 1 of these plants at the store. So if you ever want to know what the difference between a determinate and an indeterminate plant, a determinate will produce all of its fruit at once. It is a plant that gets very bushy and really big, but you can't harvest, the vegetables all season long like indeterminate. So it's a good type of plant, determinate, if you're wanting to can a lot of salsa or a lot of different types of stuff. But it just gets really wide, and you're going to have to space them a lot more. And indeterminate will produce its fruit all season long, has a long harvest cycle versus determinate, and indeterminate gets taller and not as wide, and you could space them a lot closer. These huge gallon size tomato plants, and what I did as soon as I got home was they would go up straight, really tall, is I laid it on its side, and then when the sun comes over during the day, it will start curling upwards, and you can kind of see that here. It's curling pretty up. So then this will allow me to do a trench and then plant the tomato, so I'm not going to be breaking off the growing tip. So for me, I'm going to be planting the roots this way and coming this way. So I'll be needing to dig a pretty big hole for this one. So let's test this out, see how it will go. So here's going to be my lower retention line, and I would say that's pretty perfect right there. So I think I'm going to take off a little bit more off of the bottom of here. There we go. Okay, so we just need to start removing all the lower leaves. Okay, so I'm going to leave about that much here. I'm going to pull that, and plop that into place. There you go. And the reason why I didn't put my lower tension wire in first is because I'm going to be needing to trench these. My other plants on the other side, I did put the lower tension wire in first because I was not going to need to actually dig a trench for those. There we go. I know they look small after them being so big, but they will grow up really strong and really thick if you bury them deep. If you do not bury them deep and don't allow the roots to start growing all the way up that stem, they are going to be small, they will not produce well. So by making sure you bury them deep will help your plant out more. So that's the last one. And the only plant that doesn't have its mate is basically that purple plant. Let me find the tag. So this is going to be the only plant that doesn't have a mate. Since I couldn't find it in the stores, I was only able to find one. It's an indigo red, or indigo rose. But it's okay. I did put another plant, it's like Sweet 100, in its place on the other side, even though they're different plants. We'll just see how that, turns out. We won't be able to judge those two plants against each other on the dirt side of the bed or the sawdust and sand. So just keep that in mind when we do start harvesting a lot. So next thing we have to do is we need to, after we've already transplanted all of our tomatoes, we need to put down nitrogen. So I got my 1/4 ounce of nitrogen for every linear foot that I have, and I will just be sprinkling this in between. And just don't get any on any of the leaves. There we go. And then next we will just be watering this in. And that's basically it. That's how you transplant Indeterminate tomatoes into your garden every 9 inches. And just don't forget the weekly feed and the pre-plant fertilizer. And then after you transplant, just do the nitrogen 21:00, and then you'll have healthy tomato plants. They'll grow big, tall. And then next thing we'll be doing is I need to be putting the upper baling twine, the actual where the tomato plants are actually going to be growing, and then just start tying these up. So if you have any questions or any comments, just leave them in the comment section down below. I left some links in the description box if you guys need them for the Mittleider book or fertilizer or whatever you guys need. And thank you for subscribing. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.